Things that run through a voice actor's mind at some point during their career, or heck, maybe even every single day. Do I really sound professional enough? How do I even know what to charge? Do I need a demo? Why do I hate the way my voice sounds when I play it back? Because let's face it, whether you are chasing down that very first voiceover gig or you are juggling multiple projects every day already, these are answers worth knowing. And if you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Amy. I'm a more than 15-year veteran of the voice acting industry, and I've created this channel to help voice actors and speaking professionals just like you unlock their performance potential. So let's dive right in with question number 1. Do I really need a professionally produced demo before I start auditioning? You know, this one comes up all the time, and for very good reason. Demos are really expensive if you get them done professionally. And so you don't want to jump into that kind of investment too soon in your voiceover career. Plenty of people, probably even here on YouTube, are going to tell you that you cannot start auditioning. You should not. You cannot. Absolutely no. You should not start auditioning for voiceover work unless you have a professionally produced demo at the ready. And I'm not saying they're completely wrong. In fact, I'm not saying they're wrong at all. But what if I told you that rushing into a professionally produced demo before you're ready could actually hurt your chances? Here's the deal. If you haven't trained your voice yet, or you don't fully understand how to interpret copy in a script and interpret copy for all sorts of different genres of voiceover work, well, you can pay all you want, but that fancy demo, it's going to sound maybe great, but it's not going to reflect your real repeatable ability. That is the key word, repeatable, because when a client hires you based on hearing that demo, they expect the same performance level and the same quality of the studio that you recorded it in. So if you're already established, or if you have already really gotten a good solid base of skill as a voice actor, go ahead and invest the money to have that demo professionally produced. It is going to level up your game for sure. But if you are brand new, and if you are still learning, a really solid self-recorded sample of your voice doing a couple of different kinds of genres can really kind of kickstart you to start auditioning on casting platforms, or even really just practicing your delivery. Then once you kind of figure out your strengths and weaknesses in voiceover, which styles you're best suited for, and really get comfortable with your performance range, then it's pro demo time. So yes, a demo is important right out of the gate, but gauge for yourself when you want to make the big investment to have it professionally produced. Second question I get quite often is, how do I figure out what to charge for voiceover work? And oh, the great pricing mystery for voiceover. This is not a straightforward question to answer. And there really isn't any single right answer. There's really just kind of a guideline out there. And that's because pricing and rating for voiceover work depends on so many different factors. What type of job is it? Meaning, is it a commercial? Is it an explainer video? Is it something for film? Is it an audiobook? How's it going to be used? Is it an internal company thing? Is it going out nationally on television? Is it an international film release? Is it a regional radio spot? What's the distribution and the broadcast type? How long is it, both in actual recorded time and in words? And also, how fast do they need it? And quite frankly, what's your experience level? Because yes, it is a reality. The more experience that you have in this industry, the more that you are going to be able to charge for your voiceover services because you have more expertise. That's why I always recommend starting with the GVAA rate guide. That is the Global Voice Acting Academy rate guide. I'm going to leave a link for it down below. This gives you a professional baseline to help you quote your jobs with confidence so that you can determine, based on all of those factors that I just talked about, what the acceptable range of money to bid is for that particular project. But even with a guide, what if you're afraid still that maybe you're quoting too high and you might lose the client because of it? Or what if you quote too low, undervalue yourself, and you leave money on the table? Well, frankly, that's a learning curve that we all go through. And there have been times that I've thought to myself, maybe I overquoted on that and I didn't get the job. There's also definitely real times that I've said, I think I could have charged this client more than that. They took that quote way too easily. The key is to ask yourself this: does the rate that I'm offering reflect the time, effort, and usage of the job? Is it fair to me, not just to the client? You don't want to sell yourself short, but you don't want to price yourself out of the competition as well. You're going to refine your quoting style as you go, but the key for me is always err on the side of valuing your time and talent and level of expertise. One of the tricks that I do is, for some clients that I've worked with regularly on a recurring basis, if they come in and say, hey, I have just a really quick project, kind of different from what we usually do, I will usually give them a nice little discount on that, because I know they're going to be back for more. I know that it's not going to take me much time. If it's something that's going to take me 10 minutes, I'm not going to charge you full price for that. I'm happy to do it because they're a recurring client. They're thrilled because they're not paying much for it this time around. And it just helps to build that relationship with them to say, you know what? I know that this voice actor is not going to nickel and dime me for every little thing. I am more happy to work with them. They give me a great product and they give me a great price, and they're fair even when they don't have to be. Question number 3 that I also get very often is, how can I make my voice sound more natural and less performance-y? This is such a buzzword these days. Conversational read. You know what that overly polished tone sounds like that sometimes creeps in when we're trying too hard to sound professional. It sounds very formal. It sounds very stiff. Yeah, clients don't want that. They want real. They want relatable. They want you. But that can be difficult to do when you are officially sitting behind a microphone and you officially hit record. How do you go about sounding more natural? You are not speaking to an audience. You are not speaking to a camera. You are not speaking to a microphone. Try just talking to one person, not a whole group of people. That way you take the formality out of your read. Develop a setting in your mind that's your kind of go-to visual when you sit down in front of the microphone or get up on stage and your mission is to sound really conversational. Are you sitting and having coffee with a friend at a cafe? Are you sitting in your living room with a family member just catching up? Are you guiding someone through an app tutorial? Imagine speaking just one-on-one with someone, and much of the time you will hear a difference in how less formal, more casual and normal your read sounds and your voice even sounds. And so here's something I want you to do. Get out a 30-second script and just record a take of it. Then record it again with about 20% less energy than you did the first time around. Then I want you to record it one more time using that trick I just told you about, imagining that you are that script in front of you is the words that you are saying to your best friend while you're in the car driving to the movie theater. And I want you to go back then and listen to all 3 takes of that read. You will often sound more grounded and more conversational the less energy you use and the more that you think of just talking to someone one-on-one when you do the recording. If you're someone like me who have trained yourself for years to sound really polished and professional, remember, I used to be a television reporter, so that was as not conversational as it got, and it took a long time to unlearn that habit of sounding polished and formal and professional, particularly since a lot of the work that I do is in e-learning in terms of voiceover, and some of that needs to sound very confident and professional and formal. So trust me, after practicing for a while, you definitely can do it. Question number 4 is a really interesting one. What's the best way to communicate with clients so I sound professional, but I still sound like myself? Totally such an underrated skill, because when you're replying to either a casting director or chatting with a potential new Fiverr client, something like that, your tone really matters and how you come across really matters. You want to be professional, but you also want to be yourself. So the tips here: keep it clear, keep it kind and polite, but also keep it confident. Another tip: don't use too much voiceover or industry jargon unless they do. Mirror their tone and their knowledge level of audio engineering or the voiceover industry. Be brief in your correspondence, and always, always, always proofread. Even if you think it's fine, proofread it once before you send it. I'm going to have a video coming out soon that goes kind of on a deep dive of correspondence with clients, where I'm going to have some templates that you can use to customize and make your own and kind of help guide you through some ideas on how to best correspond with your clients. So be sure to hit subscribe so that you don't miss that. But for today, here's a quick tip. Always end your correspondence with a current or potential client with a question or an action step to keep the conversation moving. So ask them something about their project that you need more information about, or give them a kind of a call to action to say, I would enjoy being able to give you more detailed information about my rates or my services if you could tell me a bit more about your project. Finally, on this month's edition of Feedback 5, this is one that I struggled with for so long in my life. How do I stop hating the sound of my own voice? Classic cringe moment when you hear a recording of your own voice, particularly for the first time when you're younger, and you think, wait a minute, is that what I really sound like? So first, let me reassure you, this is one of the most universal experiences for any voice actor, podcaster, seasoned broadcaster. Just because you don't like the sound of your voice doesn't mean that that's a universal feeling when anyone else hears your voice. When you speak, you're hearing your voice in two ways. You're hearing through air and through vibrations in your skull. So it's going to sound richer or deeper in your own head than it does on a recording. When you hear a playback of it, you're just hearing what everyone else actually hears all the time, and your brain simply doesn't compute that. It's not used to it. It took meeting someone who was a professional voice actor, and she stopped me mid-sentence during our conversation and she said, I'm sorry, I just have to tell you, because I do this for a living, you have great pipes for voiceover. And I kind of looked at her like she had 3 heads, and I said, what are you talking about? I can't stand my voice. And she said, oh, no. Deep voice. Very good. You should look into it. And that is actually what got me started on the path to exploring voiceover. But here's the good news. The more you record yourself and listen to it back, totally the less weird it becomes. And after a while, you're actually going to start appreciating the sound of your own voice in your headphones. And so the more you focus on what you're saying and how you're communicating, and not on, oh my gosh, I don't like the sound of my own voice, the less hung up you're going to be on how your voice actually sounds. And here's the most important part. Your job, unless you are being hired as an impersonator, isn't to sound like Morgan Freeman or James Earl Jones or Emma Stone. It's to sound like you, and use that voice with clarity and intention. If your sound is clear, if your delivery is authentic, and the message that you're sending is landing, you're doing great. So Keep listening back to your voice, keep learning to love it, and eventually you actually might just start to like that voice after all. Hey, if that last question about not liking your voice hit home, I've got a video you need to watch next because I answer even more viewer questions, including the kind of related, ever-daunting question of, is my voice, whether I like it or not, good enough to be a voice actor as a profession? Click right here to get the answer to that question. It might just surprise you. And now it's your turn. If you have a question about voiceover that you want answered in next month's edition of Feedback 5, drop it down in the comments. I read each and every one, and I could choose your question for next month's Feedback 5.